Why are we still here? Just to suffer, just to suffer. Every night, I can feel my leg, my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost, the comrades I've lost, won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there. You feel it too, don't you?
Okay, so that intro is not gonna be what the video's like. Probably I'm not gonna be in here like triggered or yelling or nothing. But I just want to talk about the idea that the DC cinematic universe should reboot, because I feel like a lot of people think that that's the point or the direction that they should be going in at this point. And I feel like at this point I wouldn't be surprised if they did, or I wouldn't be anything crazy if they decided to reboot after the Aquaman movie. But I think that there's some other directions that they could go in with their movies. When I look at some of the complaints I see about the DC cinematic universe from, I guess, people that just don't like it and stuff like that, and things along those lines, it's usually stuff about it being too dark, or Zack Snyder not knowing how to tell a story or something along those lines. And I mean, the whole thing about it being too dark, I don't feel like that's necessarily the problem, and that's why it hasn't gotten the critical acclaim, I guess, and positive reviews from actual movie critics, not the just normal people, I guess, that can go on IMDb and rate the movies and stuff like that. But I feel like the reason it probably hasn't gotten the best reviews from the critics is probably because of the story and not necessarily the tone and it being too dark and things like that. If you look at movies like The Dark Knight, that movie wasn't necessarily light when it comes to the tone. There's plenty of people that died in that movie. It wasn't necessarily a gory movie or anything like that, but there were definitely people dying, and the tone wasn't very uplifting. So I mean, I don't think the tone has anything to do with why it hasn't been getting, or the cinematic universe hasn't been getting the best reviews from critics. But I guess that kind of brings me to why I have this picture up here, and it's mainly because I feel like a lot of people want a lighter DC cinematic universe and all that stuff, and the characters to be more fun and all that stuff. And in my opinion, I don't feel like all of the DC cinematic universe movies were bad. I think Wonder Woman was a good movie. I think that Man of Steel was a good movie. And I think that Batman vs. Superman was a good movie. And I'm sure plenty of people disagree with me on that, and that's okay. So when I look at this picture, I just think of like the old Super Friends cartoon, which, if you go back and look at them, they're pretty goofy, and they had the old goofy Aquaman. They were just pretty like lighthearted. They weren't really that serious. It wasn't really a dark cartoon, but I don't think cartoons were really that dark back then. But when I think of that, I'm thinking that maybe DC could do something a little bit lighter if they did do a reboot. Or maybe, I feel like, in my opinion, because DC is so good at doing these animated movies and things like that, that they could just have a standalone movie, just a standalone film. That they don't need to reboot the main DC cinematic universe that they've started up already. And they can move that main DC cinematic universe towards the direction they want to go in, whatever direction that is. If it's to stay darker, then that's fine with me. And if it's to lighten up a little bit, I guess that can also work. It just depends on who's writing the story, in my opinion. I feel like it'll be good to have like one of these, maybe just a standalone film, and leave that film to be its own thing. Because I feel like the animated movies and stuff always do good with just having standalone films. They tell a story from beginning to end, and that's it. They don't have to be connected to anything else. They're usually really good. And I mean, I don't know who writes all these animated films and all that stuff, but I feel like they should maybe let an animated film person or individual write one of these standalone films if they do that. I'm not saying that DC's gonna see this and just be like, oh yeah, that's what we're gonna do, but I feel like that would be a really good idea, because those standalone films usually have their moments of humor, and they also balance the action and the humor usually really well. And I mean, they don't even have to give the person who does the standalone DC film a huge budget, and just let them see what they can do, I guess. I mean, I don't know, but it could be a standalone Cyborg film, and that doesn't need a huge budget, in my opinion. I guess maybe for the CGI, so I'll take that back, but you guys get what I mean. Maybe they could have like a standalone Batman movie or something like that, or somebody who's not heavily dependent on CGI, and just let one of the animated directors. It can just be something lighthearted that can stand alone, see how the audience reacts to it, see what they think of it, and it can be its own standalone story that goes from beginning to end, and it's not connected to anything else, and you can just see what the audience thinks of it. I mean, that's basically what I'm saying here. And you could have a even more freedom, I guess, to do what you want in that one movie, because you don't have to worry about it being connected to anything else. And I feel like you could let the cinematic universe grow more organically just by making one good film, or making an attempt at one good film, or even attempt at one good vision that you have, or one writer has, and going through with it, seeing how the audience reacts to it, and then moving on from there. If the audience doesn't like it, then that's just one bad movie, and it's not like a catastrophe in terms of the whole connected universe. But yeah, guys, I guess that's about all I'm getting at. Maybe I'll do a part 2 to this, where I actually just make up a theory of a movie I want to see or something. I don't know. But yeah, if you like if you like the video, please leave a like. I guess share it or something. Is that what you're supposed to say? But yeah, guys, until next time, guys, have a nice day, and bye-bye.